Happy Wednesday, everybody. It's Wednesday, October 29th, and we're a couple of days into early voting now, and it's really nice to see so many of you again. My name is Kevin McAvey, and I have a very special guest today from Yorktown, who's running for town supervisor, and we're going to get to introduce her in 1 minute. Just a word to you all. I hope your week is going well and you're getting ready for Halloween. I really appreciate so many of you tuning in and all of the notes and increasingly the questions that are coming in for our candidates who are running for office or running again for office across the district. And I just want to emphasize how important it is that we all get out and vote. Bring a friend, bring your family, bring your neighbors, offer them a drive, because I think that the way that we win, not only in 2026, but ultimately for those who want to change the tide in 2028, this is how we do it. We really invest in good government from the ground up in our local elections. And today, one of those leaders will be joining us, and I am so pleased to have her. Jann Mirchandani will be joining us. She brings 25 years of business ownership experience to Yorktown. As a founder of Westchester Marketing Cafe, a certified women-owned business, she understands what it takes to build something from the ground up. Before launching her business, Jann spent 10 years in the financial services industry working with international asset management companies. Her leadership extends to nonprofit governance, where she serves as a trustee managing a $4 million private trust. She's also led a critical task force that successfully developed funding solutions to balance a $3.2 million budget and headed the communication and implementation strategy there. She's a 35-year history of nonprofit board service that demonstrates her commitment to giving back. Her focus has been working with organizations dedicated to youth leadership, education, business development, and she serves as the executive committee member in the Greater Hudson Valley Council, Boy Scouts of America, a great organization, and a board member of the Hudson Valley Gateway Chamber of Commerce. She is running for town supervisor in Yorktown, New York. And Jann, I am so pleased that you're able to join us tonight. Thank you for taking the time.
Oh, I really appreciate the opportunity to speak with you.
Yeah, so you're in it.
We're in it now.
You're in it. When did you declare?
Well, officially for this cycle, God, I don't even know. It must have been February because we had to go through, petitioning and all of that fun stuff. So there's a whole process that when you jump in with both feet, you learn quick.
Yeah, you do. And was there a particular moment that you were sitting on the couch watching TV, listening to someone speak, where you just like, I need to get involved?
Well, honestly, so this is the third time actually that I've run for office. So I ran 2 years ago, and somebody had approached me, somebody that I knew actually through Scouts, because in my world, all roads lead back to scouting.
Yeah.
And so a friend of mine had approached me, and when she first suggested, I was like, oh, that's a hard pass, but thank you. I mean, I had my own business. I work with a lot of nonprofits. I love what I do. And made my own hours. My husband has since actually retired. But then when I mentioned it to my family, my son in particular, both my kids, but my son in particular was like, oh, you totally have to do this. So it was a few years ago when I said, okay, we're all in, and I ran for the first time, and it was really an eye-opening experience. I mentioned petitioning.
How so? Yeah.
Well, because I've never campaigned for anything ever, like not even student senate in high school. So, I had to learn about, the petitioning process and all the paperwork and getting that involved. I mean, something as simple as my name. Nobody knows my given name. So I had to file a particular form to say, okay, well, it needs to say Jann Mirchandani on the ballot because that's how people know me. So there was like all of these like really nudgy things that you had to learn. And then, oh, by the way, campaign. And oh, by the way, learn all of the, as much as you can about the inner workings of good governance for the municipality. So there was just a lot to learn. But that was really
Yeah.
You know, what I enjoyed about it, truth be told, both of my parents are teachers. I really believe in education. I'm a lifelong learner, and so it was a really positive experience. Unfortunately, the gentleman that I ran against the first time passed away a week into
You
his
saw that.
term. It was terrible, and so so there was a special election. So you know, the first race was really more of a marathon. It was, you know, better part of a year, and then the second one was really a sprint. It was a very short timeline. So then it was a whole other set of lessons to learn how to run a campaign in that short period of time. And then this time, you know, back to more of a marathon. So I feel like I've been at it for, you know, for like 4 years already. And by the way,
Yeah.
because of the change in the New York State law, you know, should I be successful? I'm running again next year as well. So this is where that triathlon training really pays
Yeah,
off.
this is where, but you're doing it because there are issues that are really important to you that you feel aren't getting addressed, right?
There was just so many things. I really feel like, you know, just the general tone and tenor of how board meetings were run, I was very dissatisfied with. You know, I
How
feel like,
so?
well, I just, you know, if you watch a lot of our town board meetings, they're literally board members screaming at each other. And, you know, and just the disrespect and the, you know, to one another, but also to residents as they're bringing up concerns that they have, and very dismissive tone of people as they're raising issues. But, you know, even setting that aside, I mean, there's a number of issues when I ran it years ago, you know, a couple of years ago, and even since then with, you know, we're really focusing on the overdevelopment in town. And the current administration, my opponent has been in office for 10 years, and he is running on, you know, successfully maintaining our parks. Like basic maintenance is not infrastructure. You know, we have flooding in town. We have a lot of vacant buildings in town. And yet we're seeing really high density developments coming in, no affordable housing in any of that. And there's a commercial component to it. And then the developer gets a tax exemption on that commercial piece. So we have high density development, no affordable housing, tax exemptions for the developers. And by the way, Yorktown taxes went up 7.4% last year.
This all doesn't sound very planful. Like it doesn't sound like
no, it's not. Yeah, that's exactly you know, the right way to put it is we seem to be accepting whatever developers are saying. Hey, I've got an idea. Okay, go for it. Instead of saying, you know, all right, well, here's our comprehensive plan, which, you know, we desperately need to update. It hasn't been updated since the first iPad came out. Like, that's not an exaggeration. It's 15 years
The world's changed a little bit, I would say, since
a little
then.
bit, a little bit. So, you know, so we're accepting whatever developers are offering rather than having an updated strategic plan that is meant to be our blueprint for how we want to move forward, to measure those projects against. You know, we talk about, you know, the current board did a big, you know, ribbon cutting press release about a $10 million investment in Yorktown. And they really touted it as a great accomplishment, but really basically it's a $10 million private investment to reface the Yorktown, the Triangle Center here in town. But the municipal sidewalks are not getting $1 of investment, and they're still chewed up, and they're talking about, oh, it's a great walkability. I'm like, well, you can't safely walk on those sidewalks to get from one part of town to the other. So they're sort of taking these victory laps for things that they had really nothing to do with, and they're not focusing on the actual job, which is to invest in our infrastructure. We have $24 million in excess fund balance. That's not money that's a fund balance that's allocated or restricted. That's excess. You know, and why are we not spending that money to improve our sidewalks, to, you know, to really fix up the water mains that are breaking? You know, as you say, it seems to be just sort of, we'll fix things when they break, but we're not building to increase our capacity.
Yeah, and I do find, like traveling across the country, that this is a symptom of governance that is too comfortable with where it is.
Right.
They're reactive to problems when they have to be. They're chasing the next ribbon cutting or something that they can tout and get their pictures out. But when you actually think of what people need,
Right.
what our community needs,
Right.
it does require often like fresh perspective
Yeah.
and voices. And
Yeah.
I think that's what you're hoping to bring, right?
That's exactly what I'm hoping to bring. And yet, we have, it's not just me. We have a really terrific slate.
Mm-hmm.
We have Lanny Gilbert, who was town supervisor and is now running to be for council member. And so he certainly has, decades of experience with
Knows
the
what it takes.
municipality.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. He absolutely knows what it takes, former town judge. So he really knows. He was on the conservation board, really knows the inner workings. So we have him also coming in to support these initiatives that we're focusing on. Michael Hickens is brand new. He has a young child. Well, I guess Max isn't so young anymore, but he has a 9-year-old son. Is really focused on where do we go from here for our community. So we really have a mix of perspectives on our slate. So I'm really excited to be running again. We've been working with people across the spectrum and across the political spectrum to really focus on how do we go from here? How do we bring in responsible development?
Mm-hmm.
I've been accused of being anti-development, which I certainly am not. I've been, as you mentioned in the intro, I'm a former board member of the Chamber of Commerce. I've had my own business for 25 years. And what I want to see is responsible redevelopment. We have vacant buildings in town. We have blighted buildings in town. Why are we giving away tax exemptions for new commercial space when we have dilapidated commercial space, sprinkled out throughout our town? I'd rather give those tax exemptions to see redevelopment of these types of properties.
Those are the easy wins versus solving some of the harder problems.
Right. Yeah, and there are a lot of hard problems. I mean, when you look at, the capacity for, these storms that are coming through a couple of summers ago, well, even last summer, I mean, the flooding that we see regularly, we're seeing
More
100-year floods every 5 years.
this wasn't like how it was 20 years ago. I just want to say that out loud.
Right.
And our infrastructure, to your point,
Correct.
needs to meet the needs of where we are now and where we are 10 years from now and 20 years from now. Relying upon a 15-year-old outdated comprehensive plan doesn't sound like smart policymaking.
Correct.
Yeah. So you have a highly capable slate. You have an extensive background in the business community, having been a small business, being a small business owner yourself. Like, what are the qualities that you and the slate are going to bring to help solve some of the most pressing issues facing Yorktown?
Well, one of the things that I'm most proud of is, my ability to bring people together. In fact, it was a sort of a point of pride for me. I was at an event for the chamber, a while ago, and as an associate was walking by, and I don't remember what the particular conversation was at that meeting, but as she was leaving the meeting, and she just sort of looks at me and gives me a nod. She's like, you're the voice of reason. And I was like, to me, that was a real point of pride, is that I try not to be reactive. I really try to, bring different perspectives together. And the task force that you mentioned, I had shared recently, is really sort of an example of that. I was asked to chair a task force to fill a really substantial projected budget gap for a board I was serving on, and we were looking at, well, we have to fill this. It was like nearly a $700,000 gap, and how do we do it? And so we can either raise our program fees, or how do we bring in that income? So I made sure that the board member who said, well, no, we should be cutting our fees because we shouldn't, cost should not be a barrier to participation. All right, well, you're coming with me. And the other one who was saying, oh no, we need to be doubling our fees because, we need to fill this gap. I'm like, all right, you're coming with me.
Yeah.
And I made sure that they both served on that committee, because I figured if I can get the two of them to bring those perspectives and that sense of urgency for where they were coming from and come up with a solution that they could both live with, then I felt like we would really have a solution that we would be able to, bring out to our members and make sure that it was something that was going to work. And that was exactly what we did. And we actually did it early, in a shorter timeline than we were anticipating. And that was important for us because we then needed to to make sure that we were communicating that. It's not just a matter of, identifying the problem. You have to then come up with a workable solution for the problem. And then you need to communicate to that people so that everybody is sort of rowing in the same direction. And that's just how I do what I do.
Yeah. Well, it also sounds like life, and it sounds like how big decisions should get made, bringing diverse perspectives together in agreement of how we can proceed together. And that's not the easy way, but it is the way that results in the best decisions for our communities.
Well, that's been my feeling, and that's been my experience in working, and working with numerous different nonprofits and different organizations, working with clients and nonprofit clients that I work with in my my day job. So I've seen it work better that way.
Yeah. So you have your day job, you have your night job now. It's been a couple of years of working the double shift. But can you talk to me a little bit about what you've learned through the process that you might not have? And I always think of the example of when someone visits from town, I get to be a tourist in my town. And I wonder whether you found that actually discovering new things, even having lived as long in Yorktown as you have, about the community.
Well, probably my favorite part of campaigning is the campaigning, and that sounds silly, I guess, but going knocking doors. I mean, I've always, since I've had my business for so long, networking is nothing new to me. So being able to have a conversation with somebody kind of from nothing, right? You're meeting them for the very first time. That was never a big deal for me. But what I've really enjoyed about it is being able to go and knock on doors in these little pockets of town that I was like, if you're not going to meet somebody, you wouldn't necessarily ever have reason to go into that particular neighborhood. And we sort of started joking, some of the friends as we're canvassing. I'm like, I'm now house hunting in my own community. I'm like, I didn't know this was here. This is lovely.
Do you ever take ideas back and maybe that I could put that in my scrapbook for my house?
Totally. I mean, it has really been just absolutely delightful, going into all of these different little pocket neighborhoods to discover little bits of Yorktown.
And there's so much to discover. Yorktown's such a wonderful place and town. So for folks considering why they should come out, I mean, it's going to be cold outside. It's going to be rainy tomorrow. What would you say is the reason folks should turn out this year and vote in this election?
That's such a great question, and it's so important. And people really tend to kind of forget about the local elections because, and listen, we were talking before about getting kids to bed and, get the kids to dance class and to scouts and all these other things. You're busy living your life and things kind of are going along as they should, but it's the local stuff that is the closest to your daily life. It is the roads that you drive on. It is the traffic that you sit in, if that's, appropriate to where you live. It's getting your garbage picked up. It's getting your roads plowed. And if we're not paying attention to it now, we end up with exactly what we're seeing, which is this overdevelopment in town. And this also sets the stage for then, things that are further afield in our state and our national politics. And I think regardless of who somebody is voting for in the local election, it's so important that people are just involved in their local community in some form or fashion. It is how, when we talk about, the good old days, that was standard kind of operating procedure. People were very involved in local clubs, in their library, in their, local government. And we've kind of gotten away from that a little bit.
We have.
And it's, I'm just, I'm just a mom. I'm a business owner. I'm special in my own way, but we're all special in our own way. And that's really the takeaways. We're all bringing something to the table, and it is absolutely not as scary as people think that it is to get involved and talk to neighbors and talk to community members about things that you're concerned about. And I just really want to encourage everybody to get involved in some way, certainly to come out and vote local, but then, stay involved.
And where's your local early voting? place?
We have two we have two early voting polling locations here in Yorktown. The one is in the Jefferson Village Annex for the folks in the northern part of town, and down in the southern part of town at the community center, at the Albert A. Cappellini Community Center in the gym there, so they can find it there.
Yeah. Well, I don't get to say this very often with our congressional candidates, but I hope you win. I hope you run. And I am glad that you're running, and I hope that folks who are watching this give you consideration. I mean, from everything that you've shared and everything that I've read, you'd bring fresh perspective, a willingness to engage across divides and in conversation to try to bring people together and actually think in a very planful way about what our community needs, make sure it's focused on local residents in developing plans and advancing projects to address everything from housing to infrastructure to recreational and green spaces for folks to enjoy. So thank you so much for running. Any closing thoughts for folks who are debating, like now actually coming out, and should they bring a friend?
Absolutely, they should bring a friend. I bring a friend, bring family members. Bring the kids, even if they can't vote. It's great to kind of get them to see how it all happens. And after you voted, let your friends know. Tell it's like the old Prel commercial back from when I was a younger person, and they tell two friends, and they tell two friends, and so on. But yeah, I mean, it's how we're going to all move forward together, is to get involved and to vote and be out there and be part of it.
Jann Mirchandani.
Yes.
Did I get it? Okay, good. Thank you so much for coming on and for running and for being willing to step up and be an example for so many of us of how America is built on everyone in our community having the opportunity. If you feel like you can represent an interest, putting your name forward. And that's how we find a better way forward.
Absolutely, I agree.
Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Bye. Everyone, it's Wednesday night. I don't know why I have a suit jacket on. It's just kind of carried over from the day. The kids are barely in bed, but I'm at it, and I know you're at it, and Jann is certainly at it, really thinking about how we can make our communities better. I so appreciate you all tuning in, the notes that you've sent, the shares that and the likes that you put on these, I don't know what I'm doing, but on all the social media. It's really important. But the most important thing that anyone watching this can do is to get out in your local election and vote. Early voting, look online. There are plenty of early polling sites. We heard about 2 in Yorktown. If you're in Westchester, Congressional District 17, I know that there are folks out there pressing for others to go out and vote to maintain the course that we're on, and we can do better. So I hope to see you out there. Have a great night, everybody, and we'll see you tomorrow.